Limeng tweets truth about WHO investigation in Wuhan. A WHO expert team arrived in Wuhan, Hubei on January 14th. After 14 days of isolation, they have begun an investigation into the source of the virus in the area. On January 30th, they spent almost the full day visiting Jingyingtan Hospital. The hospital was the very first in Wuhan to receive and treat coronavirus patients. The team was then taken on a tour of a propaganda exhibition by the Wuhan government, which promoted China's achievements in the fight against the epidemic. According to the BBC, the Chinese Communist Party kept a tight grip on the investigation team throughout, forbidding them from contacting or talking to the local media and community members. None of the 13 members of the team speak Chinese, and all communication was conducted through translators arranged by the Wuhan government. All itineraries were also arranged by the CCP. The Wuhan seafood market was one of the most important sites in the investigation. But according to photos published by the Global Times, the wet market is now surrounded by a 3-meter-high wall. All the stores are shut down and completely emptied of their contents. Dr. Yan Limeng tweeted, "Does the WHO team know that only the empty building has been left in Huanan Seafood Market since last May? It has actually been broken down after at least 3 times thorough cleaning without any real and scientific investigations." The doctor also tweeted, "WHO team's brainwashing tour in China will give them more official materials to praise CCP's achievements. Why has Chairman Xi never apologized but asked the world to learn from China? Because CCP won during #COVID-19 pandemic in economics and propaganda." She also pointed out that one member of the team, Peter Daszak, has been longtime friends and partners with Shi Zhengli.
Zhengli Shi is an excellent virologist. I have no reason to believe that she's not telling the truth. After we found this pandemic, it became politicized. Early on, China was very open. They shared the full genome sequences of the viruses openly with the rest of the world very, very quickly, quicker than we've ever seen this before for any country, really. So openness and transparency was there early on.
He has been working hard to cover up the truth about the virus, yet now is actually part of the WHO team investigating the source of the virus. On January 31st, several Wuhan residents told overseas media that they did not have much hope in the WHO experts' investigation of the source of the epidemic in Wuhan. Mr. Wu, a company employee in Wuhan, said, "The WHO itself is heavily infiltrated by the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, and the CCP is also strictly controlling the movements of the WHO investigation team, forbidding them from contacting local Wuhan residents and doctors who dare to speak up like Dr. Ai Fen. Everything they see has been arranged by the CCP. They are being trained into performers who can spread the CCP's propaganda. It will already be good enough if these experts don't end up singing praises for the CCP after their investigation." Military detains Aung San Suu Kyi. White House responds. In the early morning hours of February 1st, Burma's military launched a raid and detained Burmese civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi, President Win Myint, and other senior government leaders. Immediately afterwards, the Burmese military announced a takeover of power and declared a 1-year state of emergency. The military said this was in response to election fraud during last November's general election. In the aftermath of the coup, communications in Burma were disrupted for a time. A few hours after Burmese state-run radio and television station MRTV said it couldn't broadcast due to technical issues, it began broadcasting a loop of military propaganda and statements from the Burmese military announcing its seizure of power. Subsequently, the White House issued a statement expressing strong support for democratic institutions in Burma. It urged the military and all other parties to abide by democratic norms and the rule of law and to release detainees. In their statement, the White House wrote, "The United States opposes any attempt to alter the outcome of recent elections or impede Myanmar's democratic transition, and will take action against those responsible if these steps are not reversed. On November 8th last year, Aung San Suu Kyi led the National League for Democracy to a landslide victory in the Burmese general election, where they won 79.5% of the seats. However, the military has raised allegations of fraudulent behavior during the election. Kushner and 3 others nominated for Nobel Peace Prize. Former White House senior advisor Jared Kushner, his deputy Avi Berkowitz, as well as former U.S. Ambassador to Israel David Friedman and former Israeli Ambassador to the U.S. Ron Dermer, have been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize for their roles in negotiating 4 normalization deals between Israel and Arab nations, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Sudan, and Morocco. Harvard professor attorney Alan Dershowitz nominated the 4 Trump-era officials on January 31st for their roles in negotiating the deals, known as the Abraham Accords, which was seen as one of the most significant accomplishments of the Trump administration. These accords, which have brought about normalization between Israel and several Sunni Arab nations, fulfill all the criteria for the prize, Dershowitz wrote in his nomination letter, as cited by the Jerusalem Post. They hold the promise of an even broader peace in the Middle East between Israel, the Palestinians, and other Arab nations. They are a giant step forward in bringing peace and stability to the region and even to the world, he wrote.
Almost 3 decades, we did not have a breakthrough. And this week we had. And everybody in Israel is very excited, and we are eager to promote a relationship through the Gulf region and through the Middle East as a whole. And I'm hoping that we will see more Arab leaders coming forward and building new trust with Israel.
The normalization deals were announced between mid-August and mid-December 2020.
Congratulate all of the people standing behind me because they have done an incredible job. This is something that hasn't been done in more than 25 years. And begin cooperation across the board and on a broad range of areas, including tourism, education, healthcare, trade, and security. This is a truly historic moment. Not since the Israel-Jordan peace treaty was signed more than 25 years ago has so much progress been made towards peace in the Middle East.
Kushner said in a statement he was honored to be nominated for the prize, which will be awarded in October.